Good morning. Coming to you today from Westminster United Church here in downtown St. Catharines for our Holy or Maundy Thursday devotional. My name is Allie Phillips. I am the student minister at Silver Spire United Church, and I'm very glad to be with you here today. We're going to begin with an opening prayer. Holy One, as we journey through Holy Week, we carry with us many things: the mystery, the divine, our own feelings, thoughts, worries, concerns, and joys. Help us to be present with each other and to hold fast to what we know to be good and true. Be with us as we journey together. Amen. Our reading today comes from the book of John, verses 13 to 17 and 31 to 35. Jesus washes his disciples' feet. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to this place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." When he was gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified. When he was gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself, and will glorify him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. A new command I give you: love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." In classic Book of John fashion, this passage is packed with a whole lot of meaning. How do we discern what we should be taking from this reading? In the mystery and uncertainty of Holy Week, Christ shows us a radical example of loving service. In washing the feet of his disciples, he embodies what is written in the verse, "Very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him." By claiming the power of loving service, Jesus subverts the cultural understanding of power and authority. Jesus is uninterested in kingly power of Caesar or of Herod, of other kings of that time. He is concerned with walking the talk. Jesus knows the only true power in this world is love and loving service. What gets in the way of us claiming the power of loving service? We heard from Peter in this story, whose vision of ascension in the political, social hierarchy keeps him from seeing and hearing what Jesus is saying. His hope is that after years of following Jesus and of struggling with these questions and these doubts and seeing Jesus do all of these things that haven't been done before, that there's a reward, that there's glory, that there's triumph at the end of this. And isn't that what Jesus does for all of us? If we're trying to follow the way, to follow the word, upends our expectations of what power and authority look like. Peter's expectations of what these things will mean for him put space between him and Jesus. These things don't come to fruition in the way that he thinks. In fact, it goes exactly the opposite way. How do we resist these expectations? How do we stay open to the possibility of love and of loving service and of being with one another and loving one another in community as we're called to do? Perhaps the mystery of this call to acts of love is what we will spend our whole lives discerning and figuring out. The method is the message here from Jesus. Jesus chooses to give of himself, to wash his disciples' feet, to demonstrate, to walk the talk, to say, I ask of you to love one another as I have loved you. And as we love a good metaphor in the Bible, in Christianity, this is exactly that. It's that action. He chooses to give of himself rather than to prioritize himself and his own needs. You know, he's about to head to the cross, and he knows that. But he's still he's still holding fast to what he knows to be good and true, that our rank, where we fit in society, the roles that we've assigned ourselves and other people, or that we've been roles that we've been cast into, you know, at the end of the day, they don't really matter. They don't really hold weight. That's not our call, to rank one another. Our call is to love one another. As we are heading into Good Friday, as we are heading into the difficulty, into the struggle, and to the ultimately the resurrection of Jesus, what emotions are coming up for us today? What emotions are flooding us? What gets in the way of us loving one another, of us staying open to giving and receiving acts of love and of service? What can we put down? What isn't serving us well? What can we reflect on? What can we say, hey, you know, I can do this a little bit differently? Or maybe this isn't the call. This isn't me loving my neighbor as myself. This isn't loving one another as I love myself, as Jesus loved us, as Jesus demonstrated to his disciples. Whose feet can we wash, and how can we do that? What and who can we lift up during Holy Week, beyond Holy Week, as we exit this time together? I ask you to reflect and to sit with, how can we be of service to each other, and how can we claim the loving power of service? I leave you with a reflection from Dorothy Day, and then there will be some music attached to this video as well. We cannot love God unless we love each other. And to love, we must know each other. We know him in the breaking of bread, and we know each other in the breaking of bread, and we are not alone anymore. Heaven is a banquet, too, even with crust, where there is companionship. Dorothy Day. Thank you so much. Go in peace.